Let's take a quick look at Java operators, shall we? So here I have declared a bunch of integers, I, j, k, num, and ants. Presumably that's answer. And I have initialized num to 20, and these operators you know about, of course, already. This is addition, I'm adding 2, I'm subtracting 2, I'm multiplying by 2, dividing. This, of course, is remainder division. So this says 2 into 20, which of course is 0. And here I'm just negating the value of 20. So if I run this real quick, this is not going to be a big surprise. I've added 2 to 20, so that gives me 22. I've subtracted 2, I've multiplied by 2, I've divided by 2, I got the remainder, and I negated it. But just to be clear about that, none of these statements here changed the value of num. So at the end, I guess I could write num again, and you can see that, in fact, the value, if I run it again, the value is still 20 at the end, right? If you want to actually change the value of something, and actually let me just put this in. If I want to change this value, I would have to say num is equal to num plus 2 or plus whatever. I mean, plus 12 if I want to. And now I've added 12, and I can run this again, and you can see that I've actually changed the value. Of course, you cannot change a value doing that. As a matter of fact, if I compile, it'll tell me it's not a complete statement. Probably something like that. Not a statement. Okay, so this is not sufficient to change the value of num. Of course, I could put this in a print statement. All right, enough about that. You know about basic operations. Let's move on to the increment and decrement. Decrement, decrement, I don't know. Perhaps you've seen this before as well. So here I have set num equal to 4. Num plus plus is the shortcut way of adding 1 to num. This is the equivalent of saying, I'll put this in a comment, this is the equivalent of saying num is equal to num plus 1. Either one is permitted, but you'll see this a lot, so might as well take a quick peek at it now. And in fact, this changes the value of num. It adds 1 to num, so now it's 5 when I print it out. Sometimes students try to combine these. I've seen students write things like num equals num plus plus. Don't do that. You really don't want to have, this is just a little bit of a funny way of doing this. We could run this, but it's going to be a little weird. It actually gives you the value 4 because the incrementing happens after the assignment statement. Anyway, avoid doing this. If you want to have num plus plus, that's fine, but don't put it within another expression. Sometimes actually it gets even worse. Sometimes students will write things like, or you could, num is equal to 3 times num plus plus. Avoid doing that. Don't put the plus plus within other kinds of statements like that. All right, enough of that. So num plus plus is the shortcut way of incrementing, and of course, yes, you guessed it, num minus minus is often used. This subtracts 1. Again, this is only used if you want to add 1 or subtract 1, but that happens a lot, so that's why it has its own operator. All right, okay, let's run it. There we go. So I've subtracted 1. The value of num is now 3. Again, it now has changed to 3. And I set it up there, but I shall say it again. It's worth mentioning. Avoid this, and you can see I put a comment there. Avoid this. It is not on the AP exam. So again, avoid using this plus plus within these other arithmetic expressions. You're going to get weird, unexpected results. Use it by itself. You could use it like in a for loop, that's often used, but don't use it within another arithmetic kind of expression. All right, let's get rid of that. The compound operators, and perhaps you've seen these before as well. I've declared another variable, h, and I'm giving it the value of 3, an initial value of 3. And this is the shortcut way of saying h equals h minus whatever this value is. And perhaps I'll write that on the side here. This is a shortcut way of saying h equals h minus, in this case, 2. This is done all the time, so you have to kind of get used to this compound operator. And actually, if I run this thing, you can see that h was 3. I've now subtracted 2. This actually changes the value of h, and there it is. Underneath, of course, you know you can do this with the compound operator using plus. So here, again, h is 3. Plus equals is the shortcut way of saying h equals h plus the value of h. So, of course, this is going to be 6. So plus equals, minus equals, you guessed it, you can do multiply equals or times equals, divided by equals. This is the shortcut way of saying this guy equals itself plus or minus or whatever this thing. So of course, this takes the value of h, adds the value of h, which is 3, to it, and of course I'm going to get 6. I did that in my head there. All right, oops, compile. Why is it not compiling? Do I have an error? Oh, because I never... Excuse me, I got rid of the int part. All right, let's compile that. And of course it is 6. All right. Yeah. Wow, oops, so extra stuff there. So here again, you can use any operation in front of the equal sign like this. I could say b equals b times a in this case. You want to make a wild guess as to what the value is going to be? It is 8. Well, how did I get 8? Well, again, this is the shortcut way of saying b is equal to b times a. So it is taking the value of b, which is 4, multiplying it by a, which is 2. 4 times 2 is 8, and it is saving it back into b. These are a little funny when you first start seeing them, but you have to get used to these compound operators. So the value is 8. Again, I could put anything. I could put divided by, this would say b equals b divided by a, b equals b minus a, b equals b plus a, and so forth. I could even do, ooh, yeah. This says b is equal to the remainder of b divided by a, which of course is going to be 0. So let's get one. This is going to be very exciting. Yeah, 0, because a goes into b with 0 left over. So those are your basic Java operators, and I think you should be good to go. All right.